If your Keurig coffee maker will not turn on when you plug it in, and there are no lights, no sounds, and no response from the power button, don't assume that the machine is completely dead. There are several possible causes, ranging from a simple outlet problem to an internal thermal safety device that has tripped. This problem can happen on different Keurig models, including the K-Express and K-Express Essentials. The exact internal design varies by model, so always identify your specific coffee maker before attempting any repair. Start with the easiest checks. Make sure the power cord is fully inserted into a working wall outlet. Keurig recommends plugging the brewer into its own grounded outlet, rather than sharing an overloaded circuit with several other appliances. Test the outlet with another appliance that you know is working. If that appliance also has no power, the problem is probably not your Keurig. Check your home's circuit breaker or GFCI outlet as well. Kitchens often use GFCI protected circuits and a tripped GFCI or circuit breaker if necessary. If the outlet is working, plug the Keurig back in and press the power button firmly. On the K-Express, the brewer automatically switches itself off after a period of inactivity, so a dark control panel does not always mean something has failed. Pressing the power button should wake it back up. If nothing happens, try a simple electronic reset. Unplug the coffee maker, leave it disconnected for about 30 seconds, then plug it back in and press the power button again. Keurig recommends this procedure when the buttons on some K-Express models stop responding. Also inspect the power cord and plug. Do not use the brewer if the cord is cut, crushed, burned, or otherwise damaged. If you have confirmed that the outlet works, the cord looks normal, and the machine remains completely dead, the problem may be inside the coffee maker. And this brings us to the repair shown in this video. The K-Express shown here was plugged into a working outlet, but absolutely nothing happened. No indicator lights appeared, and pressing the power button made no difference. After the external checks failed, the brewer was opened and the internal heating assembly was inspected. On this machine, there is a small thermal protection device mounted near the heater. Depending on the design, this type of component may be described as a thermostat or a thermal overload protector. Its purpose is to interrupt operation if an unsafe temperature condition occurs. Some thermal protectors are one-time devices and must be replaced after they open. Others have a small manual reset that can be pressed after the unit has cooled. In the machine shown in this video, the thermal protector had tripped. After the coffee maker was unplugged and opened, the small reset on the thermal protector was pressed until a click could be felt. The brewer was then reassembled completely before power was restored. Once it was plugged back in, the control lights returned, water was added to the reservoir, a brew cycle was selected, and the machine successfully heated and dispensed hot water again. So in this particular case, the coffee maker was not suffering from a failed control board or a completely dead power supply. A thermal safety device had interrupted the electrical circuit, and resetting it restored operation. However, there are two very important things to understand. First, this is not a universal Keurig reset procedure. Not every Keurig model uses the same thermal protector, and not every thermal safety device is manually resettable. Never assume that a component should be pressed, bypassed, shorted, or modified simply because another machine looks similar. And second, Keurig officially states that its brewers are not user serviceable internally and warns against removing the bottom cover because of the risk of electric shock or fire. If you decide to diagnose an internal problem, the machine must be unplugged before opening it. Never perform the repair while the coffee maker is connected to mains power, and never operate an open brewer while reaching around the internal wiring. Also remember that a thermal protector usually trips for a reason. If you reset it and the coffee maker becomes completely dead again, do not keep resetting it repeatedly. There may be an overheating problem, a defective heater, a control fault, an electrical connection problem, or another component that needs to be diagnosed. Other internal causes of a completely dead Keurig can include a blown thermal fuse, damaged wiring, a loose connector, a failed power switch, or a defective electronic control board. A thermal fuse is especially important to distinguish from a resettable thermostat. A fuse that is opened should be correctly diagnosed and replaced with the proper rated component. It should never be bypassed. So, if your Keurig will not turn on when plugged in, troubleshoot it in this order. Confirm that the outlet works, check the GFCI and circuit breaker, inspect the power cord, press the power button, unplug the brewer for 30 seconds and try again. If the machine is still completely dead, an internal electrical or thermal safety problem becomes more likely. In the K-Express shown here, the solution was the manual reset on the thermal protector located near the heating system. Once it was reset and the machine was safely reassembled, the Keurig powered on and brewed normally again. If your machine repeatedly trips the thermal protection, or you are not comfortable working around mains-powered appliances, stop troubleshooting internally and contact Keurig support or a qualified appliance technician. Sometimes a Keurig that appears completely dead is only being protected by a safety device. Finding out why that device activated is just as important as getting the coffee maker running again.